Welcome to Stunt Tales, Falling for the Stars. Today's episode features two women that literally changed how women are perceived in the stunt world. They met on the set of the Wonder Woman television series, one from a legendary stunt family and the other a world champion trials rider. One mentored the other on coming into the stunt business. Please welcome two of the toughest women I have ever met, Debbie Evans-Leavitt and Jeannie Epper.
So Jeannie,
Yes, sir.
you've been in business since you were 9 years old, huh?
Yes, I was.
Your dad was in the business, was one of the very first stuntmen, right?
Well, my dad started like in probably late 20s, early 30s.
He had a riding academy over in Burbank. He was from Switzerland originally.
He was from Switzerland.
And he was in the military over there, in the cavalry?
He was in the cavalry. He was a cavalry officer. And they're all given their own horses, and they have to take care of them. And my dad rode it constantly, so he became an expert. Yes, he
And
did have a riding
down the street
academy.
was another riding academy with Gary Comstad?
Well, he and Gary, Gary Combs' dad. There was, in those days down on Riverside Drive, there were a lot of little riding academies, and that's where they would send a lot of actors to learn how to ride.
Oh, okay.
Because most of your actors and actresses had to ride some.
Yeah.
And they had to do a lot of things that actors don't do today.
Right. From what Jeannie's told me is that they were doing a movie, somebody's doing a show, I don't know what it was, but they needed a horse to jump a car. So they came to your dad and tried to rent a horse, right?
Well, they actually, they had heard through the grapevine that this Swiss gentleman named John Epper owned a horse that could jump anything. So they sent for the horse. My dad took the horse out to the set, and the guy still couldn't get the horse to jump over the car.
So they asked your dad.
Yep.
And your dad?
Over the horse went with my dad on top of him, and that was his beginning of the business. And he got $3 for delivering the horse, and he got $25 for jumping the horse.
Very cool. Now, we're going to cut back to the story here a little bit about the Eppers. Their Epper family is legendary in the stunt business. And John and your mom, I don't remember your mom's name.
Frances.
They had 6 kids. And we had what? Tony was the oldest, right?
No, Margot.
Oh, Margot was the oldest.
Margot
okay.
was the oldest, but Margot didn't stay in the business. She didn't like the
So
business.
there's Margot, Stephanie, Tony, Gary.
No, Margot, Tony, me, Stephanie and Andy were twins.
Oh, okay.
And Gary.
And Gary.
Baby,
Wow. And all of them became stunt people. They all had kids that became stunt people, and those kids all had kids that became stunt people. And here we are, a long time later. So you started when you were 9, and you got into this. They needed to have a kid. You went to school in Switzerland, though, right?
Yes, I went to school to be educated, to learn languages, and
they wanted you to be a lady.
Yeah, they tried.
Anyway,
well, it works sometimes.
It works sometimes.
Yeah.
So anyway, they came to you, and they called. Some producer, somebody called up, or a director called up, and asked your dad if he had a 9-year-old girl over there that could ride horses.
Yeah, my dad was working on a show, and they actually approached him and said, out of all that brood you got, those 6 little kids of yours, one of them's got to be a 9-year-old girl that can ride.
And you did it,
and
so you had to ride a horse down a hillside or something?
Yeah, down it wasn't like a straight cliff, but it was a really
steep,
difficult.
And bareback, right?
Bareback. And I thought, gee, I'm getting paid for something we did all the time. I mean, as kids, Debbie, it's like you riding a motorcycle.
And that takes us to Debbie Evans-Leavitt, who, and she's not going to tell you she's a world champion, but she was, because she was riding against all the guys, riding for factory team Yamaha, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and then how old were you, like, when you started riding motorcycles?
6.
6 years old?
Mm-hmm.
And you was your family into it?
Well,
was
my
your
dad was into it, and we started going camping and riding, and he taught me to ride when I was 6, unbeknownst to my mom.
How many years was it? How many years was it from the time you started riding until your mom knew?
Probably about a year.
And what'd she do when she found out?
She balked and said, well, I want her to wear dresses and I want her to...
But no.
And that wasn't me. I was a big tomboy. I loved playing outside and all that. And so as a family, we started going out and camping and riding together and riding trials. And then we went on to enduros. My dad got involved in that. And so I was competing at the age of 9. The first time I rode the kids class, I got a 3rd place trophy.
Wow.
Cool.
And,
Now that
and
was
then I was hooked. You know?
was that doing motos? That wasn't trials then.
Trials.
Was that
yeah.
trials?
It was trials.
Wow.
Yep.
And there weren't any women riding, so you had to compete against the guys.
There were a few women riding, you know, back then in the women's class. It was just kind of a fun class, but I rode with the kids, which
Yeah.
were pretty much boys, you know.
And it was through motorcycles that you met Jeannie, right? And it was through Gary. I think it was it Gary that found you?
Wasn't my brother Gary?
Yeah. Actually, I got in the business. Gene Hartline knew my dad's sponsor, and my dad was racing desert, and I would go do that too. And so he called and talked to his friend over at Montesa and said, "Hey, I got this girl, part for a girl, doubling. She's 5'4", and there's really nobody who can do what I want in the business, which was jump a 30-foot ravine and do all this other riding." And so he goes, "Well, just get Debbie," and he gave him my dad's phone number.
Cool. Now, how old were you when you did that? Do you remember?
19.
19.
Yeah, I was signed up for my 2nd year of junior college. I had completed my first. It was September, and I don't even think I withdrew from my classes because I went, this is what I've been training for my whole life and didn't know it. I get paid to play.
You get paid to ride motorcycles and have fun.
Right.
Now, that being said, one of the things that's the problem, especially at the time that Debbie and Jeannie came into business, was that a lot of men were doubling all of the women. They'd changed their clothes and so on and so forth. So women have had a very difficult row to hoe in stunts. And Jeannie was instrumental in getting that changed, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I mean, it cost me, but unbeknownst to me, it cost me until later when I found out.
Yeah.
I was the president of the Stunt Women's Association at the time, and we drew up a letter saying that we didn't understand why we couldn't be co-stunt coordinators under the guys.
Right.
Just so we could learn,
Right.
We weren't asking to be in front of them. And, of course, they said, "Oh, yeah, well, we'll get some women in." Well, what they did is they hired girlfriends and wives and whatever. They didn't hire any of us.
Yeah, people were qualified.
Yeah.
And you went through the same kind of thing because you were so good at what you did. They accepted you a little bit, but not really. And you had to learn to, keep your mouth shut, didn't you?
Yeah, well, what I would do is I would let my actions speak for me. And also I would let the other guys speak for me. And I would always underplay what I could do a little bit. And with me, it was more like I felt like I was telling the truth. This is what I know I can do. And in reality, what I could do was, the bar was much higher. Right. And so every time I went to work, they were pleasantly surprised and pleased. And the guys would start talking, "Hey, there's this new girl who can do this." And then the CBS stunt competition came along. And that just, I won the car race. There was a car race, a motorcycle race, and a horse race. I won the car race, and I would have won the bike race, but somebody fell in front of me in the beginning and kind of messed that up. I took second in that. And the horse race, I didn't do too bad.
No,
I was like second in the running part, and then we had to fall a horse. Okay. And so that part kind of made me, I missed out because I tried to pull him back, and all I remember is that horse eye looking at me and the horse going, tunk. So I think it's about 3 guys got ahead of me during that time, and I took 6th. I tied for 2nd overall.
Yep.
I beat Buddy Joe and Billy Burton in the car race, which and Gary.
That opened some eyes, didn't it? And we're stars. We're talking with Jeannie Epper today and Debbie Evans Leavitt, and where we left off was families and how each of them got into business. And Debbie had done a stunt competition for CBS, but she had gone the year before, and she actually met somebody in the Epper family. What do you say about that, Debbie?
Well, I was helping out, trying to do what I could to get to know people and see what I could do to help out before the competition started. And Gary Epper was there, and he was busy helping, and we got to talking motorcycles and all that. And then he told Jeannie about me. So. And
that riding motorcycles, and at that time you were doing Wonder Woman, right?
I was.
Jeannie doubled Linda Carter on Wonder Woman and did all the really special things. In fact, the story that I got was Jeannie came to work for me one time on Reno 911, and the guys, producers, executive producers, Tom Lennon and Ben Garant, huge movie files. And Tom found out that Jeannie had doubled Linda Carter in Wonder Woman. And he ran over to her, he got right in front of her face, he says, I used to stand really close to the television and watch Wonder Woman spin because I knew there was one frame where she was naked.
Such a guy thing.
And so anyway, Jeannie did all the heavy lifting on that, but she wasn't a motorcycle girl. And and her brother Gary had told her about Debbie.
Yep.
So what happened?
Well, Gary was over, they came to me and they asked me if I could do this stuff on the motorcycle, and I said, well, I can ride a motorcycle from A to B if I can stay on it. I mean, you don't fiddle around with the motorcycles. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get hurt or killed. It's not anything to be fooling around with. So I went over to, I think Gary was working on Hooper. Remember the movie Hooper with Burt Reynolds?
Yeah.
And I went over and I said, Gary, I got to find a double for Linda. And I can't find anybody that's 5'9" that can ride a motorcycle like Wonder Woman would ride a motorcycle.
Right.
He said, well, I got a girl, a perfect girl, but she's only like 5, I think he said you were 5'3", but you're 5'4".
I'm 5'4".
You're
yeah.
5'4".
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. She definitely, Rain Man definitely 5'4". Anyway, so Gary told me about Debbie. Next thing we know, Debbie's over on our set, doubling Wonder Woman.
And so the first gag that you had to do on Wonder Woman, was that a motorcycle jump? You had to do something?
Yeah, I had to jump over a Jeep, and we were out at Indian Dunes. We were doing a bunch of riding, and several days worth of work. But it was raining one day, and Jeannie was out there with me, and
and you were in the
skin tight. The one that she used in the water was the same one she used
to ride
so
motorcycles.
you're freezing.
Yes.
Basically freezing.
Well, I was as blue as the suit.
And you took care of her by putting her inside of a truck or something, didn't you?
Yeah, I put you inside of
The Chapman.
The Chapman, yes, the
It was
Chapman to
Pat's.
try to keep.
You
because
introduced me to Pat, and you said, "Can you please warm
couldn't
this
even
up
talk.
and put Debbie inside?"
So you were talking also about the one gag. Was going over the Jeep the first one, or was it when you had to jump into the junkyard? Didn't you have to jump into a junkyard?
Yeah, I had to jump into the junkyard. I'm not sure which one came in first. I think that actually the jumping over the Jeep was the first one with
Gary McClarty. Is that when you and Gary's all day long were chasing each other through the mud?
Yeah, that one.
And when you did the jump, all the stunt guys are famous for betting on things. And they did what with quarters?
Well, this was on another episode, and everybody put down a quarter where they thought I would land. I had to jump the fence, and about 9 piled up smashed cars backed up to the fence in a junkyard, and so they all bet on where I would land.
It was a flat landing, right?
Right, yeah, and I had to come down a street and make a hard left-hand turn, and just a narrow street, and hit this ramp and go off, and it was pretty steep. And so I ran up it, and I looked, and I went, okay, I'm going to land right there. And so it came rolling action. I hit it, and I jump, and I land right on the mark is right underneath my feet.
Wow, very cool. And then how the guys, were they close?
They were all over the place.
As guys usually are.
But, that's the thing is from all the years of trials riding, I could walk something and I know exactly what's going to happen, where I'm going to go. A lot of times I'll just run up the ramp and I'll spot it and I'll go, okay, I'm going to land there. And just about every time that's what happens.
And through all of this stuff, when when Debbie started working with Jeannie on Wonder Woman, Jeannie actually became Debbie's surrogate mother, and you became part of the Epper family, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeannie taught me so many things when I came in, and that I'm forever grateful for. And I love her like my
Yep.
mom, you know. She's my stunt mom,
Yep.
and she took good care of me, and she told me the ropes of what the chain of command was at work, and how to always look for an out. And there's just so many other things that I feel for the kids today, because they don't have that mentorship.
They don't have a
most of the
mentorship.
time.
I was the same way with that Glenn Wilder and Ronnie Rondell.
Yeah.
And they took the time to tell me about hanging my clothes up, for one thing.
Oh yeah,
You know,
told me that.
and if you're a half hour early, you're late, and all of those kind of things, and keep your mouth shut and do the work, and so on and so forth. But she became your mom, and you hung out at her house all the time.
Yeah.
With the other Epper kids.
Yes.
And got to do that.
Richard and I were pretty much the same age. You know, he just
Oh, God.
he just had his birthday. Mine's in February, and we used to do all kinds of stuff.
So how many seasons of Wonder Woman were there? How many?
5? Did we do 5? 5 of them. 4.
One of the things on Wonder
Fine.
Woman, that had to be done was that Wonder Woman could jump high, and she was super strength and super fast, do everything super, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you saw Wonder Woman jumping to the top of the building, that was actually done in reverse.
Yes.
And Jeannie would have to step off the building backwards to go into
look,
boxes.
and keep my, say if I'm standing at the edge of the thing, as I step off, I never can turn this way or this way for many reasons, but the main reason so they can reverse the film and it looks like I'm jumping up.
Right.
And because
Would you have to actually, when you came down, then would you have to lower your arms too,
no,
or no?
never.
But
never.
that was a time when boxes were being used. You really like boxes a lot.
I
huh?
like boxes because boxes tell your brain for an instant you're safe. An airbag, when you hit the airbag, there's that very quick, minute second that you're not quite sure where you are, and then
Right.
you know where you are.
Right.
And for me, I like to know where I am right away. You know,
Oh,
you know.
I've seen old episodes with you hanging off from under helicopters
Oh, yeah.
and doing all sorts of different things. And you really had to do a lot of stuff
Yeah, I
in a
did.
little tiny outfit.
Yeah, and I actually did it was a TV series. It was for Chuck
Chuck Tamburo?
Courtney?
Chuck Courtney. It was for Chuck Courtney.
Uh-huh.
And I had to ride along. I had to be on the skids of a helicopter and jump onto the top of a moving train. So the helicopter's going this way, the train's going this way. I jump off the skids and onto the train. And
It's gnarly.
yeah, but what we have to get everything out of your mind is that you're just jumping from here to the ground.
Well, I don't know if it's the same with you guys, but I think it's the same for a lot of people. If I'm doing a gag, I picture in my mind what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I do too.
And if I don't picture it in my mind, I don't really want to do it.
That's
And
the
even-
same for me. If,
Yeah.
I always say I shut my eyes, and if I can't see the stunt happening, whether it's a physical stunt, motorcycles, cars, whatever, if I can't see that happening, I know there's a glitch,
Yeah.
and I have to work it out.
Has there ever been anything that they've asked you to do that you didn't want to do?
Yes.
Like what?
There was a Kitty O'Neill doubled Wonder Woman. It was either an 80-foot or 100-foot jump from the top of a building down. It wasn't a backwards one. It was a forwards one. But still, I don't do 100 feet. I don't do.
You know what I tell people? If they want me to do high fall like that, they got to pay 3 people because it's going to take 2 guys to throw me off there, and they're going.
Yeah,
They're going with me. How about you?
Same thing, high falls, I won't take those.
they're not for everybody. They're
But
specialists.
most of the time what happens is when you go to work, sometimes they'll ask you for something really hard, and then what I do is instead of saying just no, I'll say, hey, can we change this a little bit? Can we get it done this way? And most of the time they let you.
Debbie's worked on a lot of Fast and Furious movies. And years 1 in particular, was it the first one where you drove the car underneath the semi?
Yes, the first one, I drove the car underneath the semi, and the semi truck was swerving like this, so there wasn't like a solid line. I had to dance with it and then just go across, and it was pretty tricky. And then I come up alongside the tractor tires, and it hits me, and then we set up a ramp off the side. I hit it at about 50 miles an hour and just cartwheeled and everything else. And then they edited the whole sequence together, and that sequence earned 2 Taurus World Stunt Awards.
Now, didn't somebody say something to you about that they had green screened that turnover?
Yeah, just recently I was talking to somebody, and they said, "Oh yeah, that was CG," and I said, "Nope, that wasn't CG.
No,
not one bit of it. It was all
a big
real."
car turnover.
And that's what was so cool about 1, because I've done 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8.
But one,
But
raw.
1 was, everything was the real deal on it.
Everything was a real deal.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of fun on them, though.
Oh yeah.
What was the most fun one to work on for you? Was it the first one?
Yeah, I think the first one, and it was funny because we were all talking about what a good time we were having working on it and how many cool things we were getting to do, and we said, well, this will probably never go anywhere.
Well, no, it was on 2 at Tokyo Drift, wasn't it? Leonard was directing second unit.
Yes.
We did a bunch of stuff down underneath Grand, Lower Grand,
Yes.
right? Did a bunch of stuff Lower
Yeah.
Grand down there. I was down there. You guys were down there.
That was 3, I think. That was Tokyo Drift.
Was it?
Because
Tokyo
2 was in
Yeah.
Miami.
Okay,
Oh,
Tokyo
yeah.
Drift. There you go.
Yeah.
Tokyo Drift, and I'd worked down there. I think 3 or 4 weeks before, and they had Mission Impossible down there. So when we were there, it was Tokyo Underground, and we were there in Mission Impossible. It was China
Right.
or Hong Kong Underground.
Right.
But that was working for Leonard, and drifting the cars big time, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that was fun
Yeah, that
watching.
was fun.
Wow.
Had a lot of fun on that.
Those
Yeah,
guys were
on
amazing.
2 though, he directed that, and it was great.
Oh,
Just
Fast
that,
and
what a
Furious
presence.
too.
I mean,
Oh, Leonard's
he's
awesome.
just so easy to work for. Okay, come on, we're gonna have some fun on this one. Let's go. Everybody, we got the team together. We're all gonna do what we can do, and it was great because I was driving the Suki car,
Right.
the S2000, the pink one, and you got to shoot flames out the back. It shot pink flames.
One of the cool things on that show was they couldn't shoot in Tokyo, and they wanted to shoot the biggest intersection that they have in Tokyo, right? And they took a parking lot out in Pacoima or something, and they stacked all those shipping containers up. Remember that? You guys were out there for that.
That was near Glendale.
Was it during
Yeah,
Glendale?
Yeah,
It's
They
back
stacked-
behind that
on
Home
Tokyo
Depot.
Drift.
Yeah, Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
And they stacked all these big shipping containers up, and they recreated the entire intersection with shipping containers, and then they CG'd all of
That's right.
Tokyo in.
That's right.
Most people say to me, "Oh my God, that must have been fun," because it looks, it looks fun. It was fast. I was wet. I was cold. The only way we could stop ourselves from going the full 200 feet, the mountainside was, Leonard would only let us do maybe 60 feet at a time, and they'd lay up cargo nets so we could catch them and stop. Well, it's a good way to dislocate your shoulder. I was exhausted, I was worn out, and I certainly didn't want to lay him down. I mean,
No.
that's a quality that most stunt people have, is they'll work till they die. I mean, it sounds like, kind of sounds stupid, but it's just sort of a mentality of, you just keep on doing it. You got one more in you. You got one more in you.
We were working in Utah on a Walker Texas Ranger, and I watched Billy Judkins, who's dead now. Billy was doing a backover off a horse, and the horse was going away from us, going away from camera, and Billy did a backover, and I watched his leg go sideways. When he came off, he did a backover and he landed on his feet and blew his knee out sideways. He got up, and he's hobbling at as fast as he could run, hobbling to Eric Norris. "I got another in me, boss. I got another one. I can." And Eric looked at him and just, "No, I think you're going to the hospital." And that's just how stunt people are.
Well, there's something about your brain and your body and the adrenaline and the chemistry. All of it has to kind of catch up to the reality of the fact that you're hurt.
Well, there's that, and then you're working for somebody like Leonard,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Buddy Van Horn or Glenn Wilder or Ronnie Rondell.
You don't want to let them down.
Yeah, you don't want to let them down.
And when you're a girl, it's even harder.
Yeah.
Most of the time we don't have much on. A lot of the times we have high heels on.
Yeah.
I remember doing a TV series called Cassie and Company for Angie Dickinson, where I was a stunt coordinator and I doubled her.
Right.
And she not only wore high heels, but she wore sling high heels, which means they're not pumps. They're like, they have a strap that
around
goes
the
around
heel.
the back. She hired me, had me come in, but I had to go in and have my legs looked at to make sure they were pretty enough to double hers.
Well, obviously they were.
They were. Getting back to romancing, this was about the end of the third week, and I was so exhausted and so beyond myself. I was just almost like a puppet. I was just doing.
Going through the motions of it.
And Leonard said, "Do you have another one in you?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And then all of a sudden he looked over at me, and he said, "No, you don't. That's a wrap for the day. In fact, that's a wrap for the whole entire mudslide. Jeannie, you're going home." I started crying like a baby because all of that was inside of me. All of that, not wanting to let him down.
No.
And when I got home, two and a half hours in a van to go home. When I got home, there was 24 red roses. Sorry. And it said, thank you, Jeannie, you're my champion. It was from Terry.
Oh, that's awesome.
Unbelievable.
It's people see the relationship between us, and it's like he's my brother. In fact, he's the only one I got left.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you hold a lot in, don't you, Debbie? You do hold a lot in because you don't want to let people down. You don't want to do it wrong. I mean, there's so many things people don't understand. Being a stunt person doesn't mean you're a hero or you're anything. It's just a gift that God gives us to do. And
It is a gift.
It's a gift, and you better know your limits in the gift or it'll kill you.
Yep. Yep.
It will. It doesn't mean to, but you better, look at Debbie's, in my opinion, best motorcycle rider in the business, and she almost got killed.
Yeah. Well, it's not always about
from
you.
not paying attention to what the dew point is. And
there were other things, other factors that, that really never should have happened. There were times when I was in the hospital, I think 2 times, and I only did it like maybe a half a day each, where I went, this is no fair. This shouldn't have happened.
No.
Well,
but the thing is, I always looked at, okay, what's happened good here? I'm alive. I can move, I can walk, I can talk.
Yep.
I'm going to be here for my kids.
Yep.
And I'm going to get better. And
Yeah.
so I didn't stay in that. I just didn't stay in that.
No, you didn't. In fact, if you remember, my brother Gary passed away during that time that you were healing. Mm-hmm. And Debbie came in her wheelchair to Gary's funeral and spoke. That's the kind of champion she
Gary
is.
was like my brother. I mean, every time I'd see Gary on the set, I'd go, man, it's going to be a good day. Because, it was just, we had that, like I have with the Epper family, I just have that mesh with them,
Yeah.
and it's like seeing somebody, getting to hang out with one of your favorite people.
there you go.
Yeah.